Resistance: Fall of Man came out in 2006 as a PS3 launch title, and it started a series that would become one of the best trilogies on the Sony Playstation 3. This beloved first-person shooter combined action and horror, and provided fans with great single-player campaigns as well as multiplayer and cooperative modes. But despite the quality of the games and their loyal cult following, the series has been missing in action since 2012's Burning Skies on the PS Vita. Let's take a moment to explore the franchise's history, its games, and its story in the retrospective part of the video, and then we'll analyze the current state of the IP and explore what the possible future might be. Let's get into it. For many people, Resistance was the first game they popped into their PS3, and for those whose first HD console was the PlayStation 3 instead of the 360, this was their first time seeing gaming in high definition. I was one of those people. I remember getting the PS3 for Christmas 2007 when I was still in high school. We got our first HD TV as well that day, and it served us well for many years. My PlayStation 3 came with Motorstorm, but I also got Resistance, I also got Ratchet and Clank, Future Tools of Destruction, which was also made by Insomniac, by the way. They made Disruptor and the original Spyro the Dragon trilogy on PS1, and all the Ratchet and Clank games on both PS2 and PS3. And in 2006, they released Resistance: Fall of Man. Resistance was a first-person shooter and it explored a very interesting what-if. It explores an alternate history where World War II never happened, and what humanity got instead was an alien invasion. There was a lot of mystery in that first game. We didn't know exactly what the Chimera were, and since they landed first in Russia and then spread throughout Europe from there, many characters thought that maybe they were Russian experiments instead of extraterrestrials. And main character Nathan Hale was a mystery as well. Not much is revealed about him, and as we see him show more symptoms of the Chimera infection, we wonder and theorize what his fate will be. The game has a lot of insane weapons, just like the Ratchet and Clank series, and you have them all at your disposal anytime you want because you can select them from a weapons wheel. You can fight on foot, ride vehicles, you face evil aliens, alien-human hybrids, huge bosses, and much more. And on top of having the story mode, you also get multiplayer. And I played this multiplayer mode with plenty of people when they came over, same goes for the co-op mode, since the game allows you to play the entire campaign with a friend. I played many levels in co-op with the sensei, and with friends who came over from high school, even with my brother, but it was the sensei that I played the game with the most. Bolillo was obsessed with the Resistance series, particularly the second one, but we'll get into that in a moment. But yeah, that first game we featured heavily in many videos we made in the late 2000s and the early 2010s. We even made a review of the first game in 2009.
The gameplay is fast-paced, shooting and docking and evading your enemies. Then you go to multiplayer when you grow online with other players from around the world. I got ejected twice from the phone because of trash talking and harassing other people.
But it was with Resistance 2 that I got more into the multiplayer. When it comes to the story, Resistance 2 brought back Nathan Hale as the protagonist, and added Joseph Capelli as a supporting character and as Hale's rival within the team. There's gonna be some spoilers here, okay? At the end of the game, Hale succumbs to the Chimeran virus after he defeats the end boss, Daedalus. Capelli, as promised, shoots Hale in the head and then takes over as protagonist in the following game. I like Resistance 2, it was also a great game just like the first one. It has a lot of great action, a lot of great set pieces, including that big epic moment where you fight this kaiju-sized boss. I have very vivid and fond memories of watching that E3 demo. I think it was E3 2008. And I was sitting on the futon of the room next to this one, and I was watching the live stream on GameTraders.com. Rest in peace, Game Traders. I miss you. But yeah, it was a fun game, and it had a huge new cooperative mode, and multiplayer became even bigger and better. My only real gripe with the game is that they removed the weapons wheel. Now you can only carry 2 guns in Resistance 2. And some people didn't like that they changed the health system to something more similar to Call of Duty, where it's a regenerating health system instead of finding health packs. I had no problem with the health change, my problem was with the guns. I played the online on the cooperative mode several times with Bolillo, and I also remember getting the collector's edition of the game, which came with this awesome action figure by DC Direct. I have it over here, I'll show it to you in a moment. They made a whole line of figures to coincide with the game. I wish I had bought some. I think I saw some of them at Babage's, that GameStop store, but I sadly didn't buy any. And now they're insanely priced online, but at least I have that one. It also came with an art book that I misplaced, but it's around here somewhere, I'll find it eventually. And there was a code for digital in-game goods, but I gave those to Bolillo and he used them since he played the multiplayer way more than I did. He probably poured hundreds of hours into it. The third game was amazing, and it hands down had the best story in the entire trilogy, and it had the most compelling protagonist because Capelli was way more interesting than Nathan Hale was. Nathan Hale was a big mystery, he didn't talk much, there wasn't much to him, but Capelli was a family man, and he had a lot more struggles and a lot more humanity than I think Hale had. And the game brought back the ability to play the entire campaign with a friend, and it brought back the gun wheel. Yes, guns, and a lot of them. And it also brought back the health packs, but I never really cared much about that change, but guns. The guns are back. All the crazy guns, the bullseye, the one that creates the shield. But there were way more than that. I remember one day my friend Ahmed came over and we played about half of the game in co-op mode, and that was a lot of fun. I wish we played the entire game, but I really enjoyed what we did play of it. And I have fun playing the game solo too. But I didn't play this game much online, if at all. But I love the campaign, most people did. It tends to be most people's favorite single player campaign from the trilogy. I'm still very partial to the first game's campaign, but that might be more than nostalgia talking. I mean, this is probably the best of the three in terms of the story. Both the PSP and PS Vita had spin-off games, Resistance Retribution and Resistance Burning Skies. I have yet to play those games since I never owned a PSP or a Vita, and sadly Sony never ported those games to consoles, so I can't really delve into those in detail, but I will mention them and say that they deserve to be ported to PC and PS5 and preserved alongside the main trilogy. The retrospective part of the video is over, and it's time we come to present day and discuss the current situation with Resistance, the state of the franchise, and guess what? It's in a really bad state. We haven't had a new title since 2012, and in a recent interview, Insomniac co-founder Ted Price said that they pitched a fourth game to Sony, but they didn't greenlight the project. And there's no truly good way to play these games outside of the original system. Because to play them on PS4 and PS5, you need to stream them from the internet, and they are behind the PS Plus paywall. And even that is going away. Because Sony recently announced that they will be removing the first two games from the PS Plus catalog of PS3 games. To be clear, there is no way to natively play these games on PS5. And I repeat, even before the removal, things were problematic because you can't play any PS3 games through PS Plus locally on your PS4 or PS5. It's streaming only, aka you need to be connected at all times to the internet to play these games. That is not a good thing. Most people don't like this, not everyone has great internet, and even if you do have super fast internet, this is not a reliable method of playing games. There will always be some lag, and if the internet goes away that day, then you're not playing any PS3 games. Back in the day, Sony did a really good job with game preservation. PS2 was completely backwards compatible with PS1, so I played PS1 discs and could use PS1 memory cards. And the early version of the PS3 had PS1 and PS2 compatibility. And all versions of PS3 had at least PS1 compatibility throughout the whole generation. And they did remasters of a ton of PS2 games during the PS3 era. They made a Ratchet and Clank collection, a Jack collection, Sly collection, the God of War Saga collection, the list goes on. But on PS4 and PS5, they can rarely be bothered to make remasters or remakes. And in the rare moments they do remasters or remakes, it's usually a single game, like when they remastered God of War 3 on PS4 instead of remastering the entire trilogy, or even better, the trilogy and the two PSP games, which is what they did on God of War Saga. Okay, God of War Saga had 5 games in one, and now we only get 1 game. And lately they've been remaking games that hold up pretty well and that no one was really asking for, like the first Last of Us. There are many games that people are asking for that we want either a remaster or a remake, and they just keep ignoring that. There are so many games that need a new coat of paint, quality of life improvements, and that are stuck on old hardware, like the PlayStation 3. And I know they remade Shadow of the Colossus, and Medieval, and Demon's Souls, and all those 3 games were excellent remakes, I'll give them that much. But where are the remasters and remakes of games like the God of War series, Ratchet and Clank, Sly Cooper, Jak and Daxter, Killzone, Infamous, and many more? Do better, Sony. Respect your IPs, respect your franchises, and respect the fans. Here's what Sony needs to do. They need to grab the Resistance trilogy and the handheld games and remaster all of them for PS5 and PC. And don't just do it as a digital release only. Give us fans the chance to own it physically, even if it has to be done through something like limited run games. And if these re-releases do well, then invest the time and money and effort into a brand new game. But what could that new game look like? There are a lot of options, a lot of possibilities. Many routes they could take. They could remake the first game in a very faithful way that doesn't change the story too much and only tweaks the gameplay and modernizes it when truly necessary, like what they did with the Last of Us remake. Or they can take more liberties with the game and instead of remaking it, they reimagine it, like they did with Ratchet and Clank in 2016, which is a loose remake of the first game that changes a lot of things and starts a new canon in the process. Or they could do a completely new game that has a very different story and a new protagonist and a new universe instead of being tied to the events of the older games. Or they can make a game that is set in the original canon but very far away from the events of the old games. And that way it's very friendly to newcomers while still being friendly to the fans since it's set in the old canon. They have a ton of options and all of them are possible. What I would like the most is a remake that is both faithful on one hand but also on the other hand changes things up a lot and modernizes the game and does a lot of quality of life improvements. Think like how Resident Evil 4 Remake is in relation to the original RE4 on GameCube and PS2. But whatever route they take, the important thing is that they do a good job with it, and that they pick a good team within PlayStation to make the game, because I don't think it'll be Insomniac. They're very busy with Spider-Man right now, and Wolverine too, and they still make Ratchet and Clank. And that everyone in this new team loves the IP and wants to do well by the fans. And most important of all, remaster the first 5 games before you make anything new. Please. We need to be able to play the original games on PS5 and PC. They need to be preserved. They need to be revived for both the fans and for newcomers alike. Let us all play and enjoy Resistance once more. And please do a better job with game preservation going forward. Bring more PS1, PS2 and PS3 games to PS5 and PC. Like God of War and Ratchet and Clank. Just to name a few. The reason why I'm making this video is because I love Resistance. I love the IP. I love the games, I love the stories back in the day, I loved playing the multiplayer and the co-op mode with Bolillo and with many other people that came over. I even made a review of that first game many years ago, so it's a franchise that I'm very attached to. I'm a huge fan, it's one of my favorite Sony IPs. It's probably Ratchet and Clank #1, Resistance #2, Uncharted #3. So I love the IP and I hate what Sony is doing to it, which is not doing anything at all. And now even removing the old games from their service, so we can't even play the original games and there's no new games to play. It's horrible, it's terrible, they need to do better. Thank you for watching, it means a lot that you watch the video and that you support the channel. And if you like Resistance, and if you like Sony Playstation, if you like video games in general, toys, collectibles, comics, TV, movies, if you're nostalgic, if you love the 90s, the 2000s, even older than that, the 80s, the 70s, etc., this is your channel. Please feel free to subscribe and check us out on our other pages. But I repeat, thank you for watching, and I'll hopefully see you next time.